Hi Saish, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
And thanks for giving me your time.
My pleasure.
So it's a wonderful thing that I'm meeting someone where you have practiced acupuncture
Yeah.
at the origin,
Yeah.
China.
Very
Chinese, right?
Yeah, in
China.
Chinese.
Okay. So Saish, how was your journey like? How did you start this? Basically, you were born in India,
Yeah.
and how did you go to China? And how was your journey?
Well, to begin with, when you are born,
Yeah.
you tend to go into a flow, and then when you graduate from high school or something, then you decide what you want to do. But for me, my journey literally began when I was born, because my birth was done with acupuncture.
Oh,
Because
okay.
I might be the only person in India who was born after an acupuncture treatment. So my father was treating my mother. So normally childbirth is very painful and it is very uncomfortable.
Yes, for the
But my dad was treating my mother, and during the when the delivery was about to happen, that time also he was treating. So the delivery was very smooth. So
Okay.
that is how I was born. And from childhood, my dad has been doing camps a lot. So when
this was delivery was painless.
yeah, my mother's delivery was when she was delivering, it was almost painless, and it was very smooth, like without any complication. And normally the delay time is required. Sometimes it even takes like 10 hours for it to come out. It was very smooth, like within few hours I was almost delivered.
Oh, wonderful.
So that is how acupuncture is. That is how it was practiced in China, because in our acupuncture we have so many specific points which help in promoting the delivery very smoothly. Even if the fetus is not aligned. In old Chinese practice, they used to do a lot of this treatment. Now, because of Western medicine, a lot of people are going more towards the surgery. But even those conditions, when the fetus is not aligned, that time also you can use acupuncture to align it. So this how deep the acupuncture science is. And so that is where my thing started. And from childhood, because my dad was an acupuncture doctor, so he used to do a lot of free camps for people all around India. So that time he used to carry me with him, because my mother was also going. So when I saw him from childhood, you see your parent doing something so wonderful, that they are helping people who are suffering, crying, and bring smile on them. It kind of impacts you that you want to do the same thing in your life.
Yeah, sure.
So throughout my studies, my goal was one. Study was just a tool to get there. So you can say that, okay, I want an apple from the tree. I know the apple is the acupuncture doctor I want to become. So the stone is the schooling and everything part that we have to go. So the stone is the medium to get there. So I did the schooling and everything in India. And once I was, that I have prepared enough. So that time, since childhood, I was learning with my father. So when I went to China, first it was very difficult, because my dad's idea was that he learned acupuncture through translation. So because it was not possible at that time, so he wanted me to learn acupuncture through Chinese language. So that was the most hard part, because language part, because Chinese is not a phonetic language. Phonetic is like when you have a few alphabets, you combine them, you form words. So it is very easy to write and read. But Chinese is character based, so every character is a word. So you have to know around, on an average, to communicate you need to know around 20-30,000 characters. And if you want to be a doctor, then you have to be know at least around 60,000 approximately. And if you want to go beyond, like what I did was it was a traditional Chinese. I want to know what was practiced thousands of years back. So that time you have to kind of go even more deeper, because old Chinese is very different. So the journey went from there. So I started with Chinese language. Okay. So the language was the most difficult barrier. But I had to do it, because you cannot jump into the ocean unless you know how to swim. So I managed to learn, and after a few obstacles, communication problems and all, because it's a foreign country. In China till today, if you have listened to my dad, his story, you would know that at his stage, Chinese people didn't even know salt and sugar kind of thing. It was a very difficult thing for him. Till date, it is almost the same. If you don't know the language, you are lost there. They will say hello, after that it is all blank. So, if you don't speak, it is very difficult. So So I learned the language. For first few months it was very difficult. Once I started getting the grab of it, I just realized it came very naturally to me as a language.
Okay.
Then any other language I've learned before, like Marathi, Konkani, English, they were very difficult for me, like, so it came very naturally. It's God's gift, you can say, like,
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so, and they say like it is even difficult for Chinese to distinguish between few characters because of one dot a whole character changes
Okay.
and a whole word meaning changes. But I was able to recognize them very easily and read them. So it was kind of a blessing only. So
It's an amazing achievement. Yeah.
yeah.
It's a nice,
Yeah.
it's a really great achievement.
Yeah, that was one of the most
Apart from your acupuncture,
Yeah.
the language that you picked up is something amazing.
yeah.
It was the most difficult languages.
One of the most difficult language because it is like, as I said, you have to
Yeah,
learn.
you said in just one dot makes the entire
Yeah, and even
word
like
different.
even spoken language also, it is so different that one word can have many meanings. Same meaning can have many different words for it. So it is a very complicated. So it is like I would say that subtitles were invented by Chinese because without subtitle you cannot understand anything you speak. So even if you tell, okay, my name is Saish, this is my Chinese name. So that Sai, I have to tell the other person which Sai it is, from which character it comes. Otherwise they cannot write it.
Oh.
It is not same as like in English you say Saish, okay, you just write Saish, it is that is. So it's a very interesting language.
So, Saish, how is it different from there and from China and India? So, how do you see it? The both countries, like you have learned it from there, you're practicing it here.
Yeah, it's a very different country, but yet whereas very similar.
As far as
Acupuncture is concerned. So acupuncture in China, it is a very common thing. It is as common as you can say, like actually in India Ayurveda should be as like same as acupuncture in China, but it is not.
It is not.
It is not that common. It is getting famous, but acupuncture in China is almost like allopathy. Like you have something in your body, like you have say headache. The first thing people think about is Chinese medicine or acupuncture, and then then they will go to a doctor. They would tell the doctor before the doctor even asks all the problems they have. They even tell like what may be the diagnosis according to the Chinese medicine. It is that common. So in China, when a patient goes to a doctor, you see that for example, the common thing is you have a stroke patient. The stroke patient first gets a surgery and then he is admitted into inpatient. So in India, what happens when the person is admitted into inpatient, he is given a lot of chemicals, he is given physiotherapy and all those things, but he doesn't improve. So he goes through that process and it continues for almost 1 year, 2 years, and his body started becoming very stiff. So instead of improving, it starts degenerating. In China, what happens, the second you are out, after 2-3 days when you are out of ICU, you start with acupuncture, inpatient. So they are given acupuncture for all the physical problems and mind, because if you are in coma, acupuncture is the fastest thing that can get you out. People don't know how long you will be in coma, but acupuncture has that ability to activate the brain to get you out of coma. And I have done this to a couple of patients when I was practicing in the inpatient. Second thing they do is they combine herbs with Western medicine. So instead of giving like high dose of Western medicine, they reduce the dose to minimum and they give herbal formula to activate the body's nutritional value and to bring back the internal organ to normal. So acupuncture with herbs is like a very good combination there. And then they also do physical therapy. So it is not like they are avoiding any kind of thing. So we call it integrated medicine. So you integrate all therapies because the purpose is to treat that person. It is not a competition, okay, which is better, which is not. It is about like, you have to combine everything together and work on it. But what happens in India is like everybody has their own thing. So although the Western medicine doctor knows that this is not going to work, they still will keep on continuing at the same time. They will not recommend it to another. Even they will not recommend to Ayurveda, even if they know it will work for him. They will not recommend to an acupuncture doctor. If you go to a physiotherapist, he will not tell you, okay, do acupuncture also and we'll do physiotherapy, so you will have a combined effect. So that is like, it is kind of against the disease. It is against the person getting recovered. So if a person can achieve all of them together, he will recover very fast. So I was always thinking like if you could And it should not be like, they should not have a distinction of ideas. It should be like combined. The purpose should be the same.
Purpose, it should be.
So that is the difference. So it is very easy to practice acupuncture in China because you have a very high value. So in Chinese culture, you say that acupuncturist is the highest level. Second comes the herbologist or herbal treatment. Then comes the chemical treatment, whatever. And the last is actually surgeons. Because why it is distinguished like that? So for example, if I am in a flight, we have no access to medicine, we have no access to herbs, we have no access to surgical equipment. But you can carry a needle, or you can always have your acupuncture points on your body. So you can always do something to a patient if he faints, the simplest example. If he faints, then in a flight you don't have anything to bring him back. But as an acupuncturist, I can do so many things to bring him to consciousness.
Yeah, I don't need many things.
So that is why acupuncture is accessible to any level, anytime. Then comes the other therapies, and then comes the herbs, and last is the surgery. So that is how it is placed in China. So that is the main difference I feel.
Yeah. How was your learning experience over there? Because you spent how many years over there?
Almost 8 to 10 years.
Almost a decade.
Yeah, almost a decade. Actually,
how is it over there? Like
it's actually
learning and being doing practical also.
Yeah, actually, just if you exclude the first year of struggle with the language, after that it was very smooth because China is a country with very strong culture, like India. That is one common point. So they value as a person or not, provided you speak the language.
Okay.
So once you speak the language, they tend to help you flourish a lot. They will never pull you down. If you are a foreigner and if you can speak Chinese and if you are an acupuncture doctor, everyone will try to help you in any way possible to get you to their level.
Okay, so they become very friendly.
Very friendly. They value Indian people more than you can imagine.
Really?
Yeah, they think that Indian people are like source of their knowledge kind of thing. Because Buddha came from India, so they have a very high standards for India. I'm not talking about political ways, but culturally it is always valued more. So when I talk to people and I talk about that I am Indian, they always say that okay, India is a very good country. So many things. It is culturally so rich. Ayurveda and everything coming from India.
Yeah.
Even the martial art, which is the most thing, came from India. So they acknowledge that. And because of that, when you speak their language, they want to give as much as knowledge as possible to you. Okay, provided you are able to grasp it. So language is the most important thing. Without language, you are lost in China. So because I was able to use that. See, in China what happens, you have university where you learn all the basic to advanced things. But there is a part of acupuncture, you have to understand that it is a Taoist philosophy. It is something that goes to monks, like Buddhism, Taoism, that kind of. So it's a very deep-rooted spiritual practice. It is an energy-based science. So it is not just technological advancement. You have a lot of spiritual understanding also. So you have to go through that route also. And Taoist monks and all, they are impossible if you don't know their language to that level. So they will speak and you will not understand what they are talking. Even if you have very fluent Mandarin, still the local problem is that you cannot talk with the same efficiency. So you have to understand deeper like traditional Chinese. So again, like we have Marathi and we have Sanskrit. Marathi is commonly spoken, but Sanskrit is a deeper understanding. So traditional Chinese, what we say, is a deeper Chinese. So we have to understand that also as a medical student, as an acupuncture doctor. So I learned that, so I could communicate with them. And they would like monks have a thing that once they take you as their student, accept you, they will give everything to you. They will bring you to their level. So luckily I was lucky enough to meet such people, and they imparted me knowledge which I feel is more valuable than anything in the world, because they taught me how it was practiced like thousands of years ago. So a technique called needleless acupuncture. So normally we have something called you prick a needle and the body responds. But it is such a deep practice that you can do that without using a needle also, with just fingers, just mind control. So I learned that with monks also. So it is a very unique practice, and you have a lot of, like you have to spend half an hour to 1 hour with the patient like taking pulse, like stimulating one point, then you take pulse again. So it's a back and flow process. So till the body normalizes, and slowly the person starts recovering after that. So this also I learned from them, which is a very old technique.
Yeah, it's ancient technique.
Ancient technique, and not a lot of people practice it.
Right.
So I also managed to learn, like it's God's grace.
Yeah, it's definitely
Something I never expected to learn. So apart from like a regular thing. So in university when you learn, it's a very different thing what people learn in India.
Yeah.
Because in the university what happens is you are spending so much time, like 5-6 years in theory, that you learn everything about the body. It is not just physical anatomy. You learn about energy, you learn about, like I told you, like I practice Tai Chi. So Tai Chi is like an understanding of what you learn in the books. You know what is Chi. But to know what is Chi, you have to actually feel it. You have to actually experience it. Then only you can. Chi is something like, if you ask a Chinese person, a proper Taoist monk, he will say Chi is something that cannot be expressed in words. If you can express it, it is not Chi. It is just something that you experience. You can help other people experience also. I can give you a closest example is, it is like an ocean current. You know, it is like, it is there, but you don't see it. It is flowing, like, yeah, you know, it is all around you. Like a person when he is alive and a person when he is dead, there is a small difference. You look into him and you see, okay, he has blood, he has nerves, he has heart, he has everything, but he is not alive. So what makes him alive is Chi. Energy. So that is what it is. So that is the most fundamental thing that you learn only in China. Because to know what Chi represents, so even Chi has two different characters. I'll just give you in short. Chi has two parts. One is called Chi that we commonly speak as acupuncture. That is what it is called. It is has as Mi. Mi means you know Xiaomi, that phone. So that Mi is basically rice. So when your rice is cooked, what comes up is actually energy. So if you notice, women, they cook, but they are not as hungry as the person who eats it.
Yes, very true.
You will see that you will eat more than your wife. But why? Is because while she is cooking, most of the Chi is actually absorbed by her. So that is why she is full. So that is actually what Chi is in our body, in the vitality sense.
I didn't know that, but I heard of this from my mother and my grandmother. Say the person who cooks cannot eat much.
So if you say like cooking a porridge, so you have something called porridge, as one is the Chi coming up, that is the most nutritious one, then the liquid, and last is the rice.
Okay.
So rice is literally the least amount of nutrient. The most amount is that vapors or the energy that is coming. So like that. So these are the things that you learn in the university and also outside the university. So in the university what happens is you have to have a very strong understanding of physical body first. So when we learn acupuncture, first thing is you have to know all the points thoroughly by heart. So that is repeatedly tested. It is not that you learn a point, you have an exam and then you have forget. No, again that point comes again into when you are doing practicals, you are coming when you are studying anatomy. We have something called acupuncture anatomy. So we have this whole year where we slice a human body, like autopsy you do. So you slice a dead body and you tend to go deeper and deeper into layers. So before you do slicing of the body, you take a needle, you dip it in ink or something like that, like a thing, and you insert in a particular point. When you insert the point, when you start cutting out layer, you learn every single layer, where the ink is going, what it affects, which organ it might penetrate. They literally put it like penetrate deep. So how long needle you can insert, how short needle you can insert, what is the angle you have to insert to avoid certain organs. So all these things are taught in that year when you are actually dissecting.
So deep, yes.
Yeah, it is very deep. Okay, and to be honest, like it was more intense in olden days, because olden days when originally acupuncture was taught, it was, the records were like that if you are a prisoner, you have done some severe crime, your death penalty is given to you. Then what is given? The prisoner is not directly shot. He was tied. The physician has to dissect his body while he is alive. So he has to cut his layers while he is alive. So when we do a dissection in an anatomy, it's already dead. So you don't know what it is. So the documentations of the body are so deep in acupuncture. People think it is not scientific, you just by heart points on surface and you pray. No, it is very deep. Every organ, how it is, energy, what is energy, how it separates, everything is learned. So we learn that in that way. So acupuncture is not just pricking of needles. It is a very deep science. You have to understand what energy will take you probably like years.
It will take many years.
Many years. That is why the course is like, I would say an acupuncture doctor learned in China is a complete doctor, because he learns also Western medicine part, you also learn herbal parts, you also learn physical exercises. Before treating the patient, you have to know how to keep yourself healthy. Then only your energy will build and then you can treat.
Right.
So all those things are part and parcel of that tenure I've spent in China.
That's amazing.
Yeah, which is not possible anywhere else.
But it's worth.
Yeah, it is very much worth. It changed me as a person, I would say.
You can see that.
It changed me as a person, like understanding how the.
You can see so many doctors we have met, but what I see, you is totally different.
Yeah. Because it is not about just learning physical. We learn exactly the same thing that the MBBS doctor learned, but we learn way beyond that.
You're going much deeper into
much deeper. Because what I feel in Chinese medicine, we say the body is made of 3 levels. One is the physical level, we call it Jing. Then the second is energy, which is called Qi, and the third is called Shen, which is the spirit. So every body, every organism living has these 3 layers. Okay. So the physical layer is targeted by Western medicine aspects. So your body, your muscle, bone, everything. The second layer is Qi, which is the acupuncture part. Acupuncture. So acupuncture goes hand in hand. So Qi is something which oscillates between the two, physical and the spiritual world. So you basically learn everything together. So Qi is what makes everything go. Like you have a computer, you have an operating system. So operating system makes all the hardware and everything. You have hardware, everything is intact, but it might not work unless you have that operating system. So the operating system is that Qi, that flow of energy. And after that, higher level is the consciousness or the spirit. So spirit is where the everything starts manifesting. Your disorder, your health, everything's from the spirit. So what Chinese doctors always talk about is, you get disease, any disorder, it starts from your spirit, it starts from your mind. And you will say like, okay, I'm walking on the road, I fall, I damage my knee. How is that spiritual? First thing, spirit means you are aware. You are not aware that while walking you will trip. So awareness triggered a physical change which you impacted your knee. When you impact your knee, you have pain. There is no swelling, there is no clot, anything. So you have swelling. So before the swelling, what pain is, basically your chi is disrupted. And then it's like you have air, then it starts becoming condensed and becomes liquid. So that liquid is basically your swelling and everything. You still ignore it. You treat it with wrong methods. It starts developing physical changes, like your bones start degenerating, cartilage start wearing out, your tendons start getting damaged. So that is basically formation of ice from water. So what happens is, if you keep on treating the ice, it will not work. We want to get back into air. So what acupuncture does is, we use this energy to open up and slowly melt it, and slowly it becomes air. So this is the process. That is why acupuncture looks slow, but it is the fastest thing.
And more effective.
More effective, and it is the most natural thing, because you are not doing anything that is against the body. Body has its flow. You recognize what is the flow, and you use energy to make sure that the balance is achieved. The body gives you every single alarm that what is happening. So that is why acupuncture is the most effective treatment that is there in this kind of chronic ailments, because it goes directly to the deep and it opens up and slowly it comes. So why we always say that if you come in the early stage, it is much better, is because your air is just now starting forming droplets and turning into water. So it is very easier to go into air. If you come like very slow and it has already become frozen, you need immense amount of energy and time to get it back to that original state. So that is why it takes time. So it's always advisable to first go for acupuncture and then everything else. because there is no harm, no chemicals, nothing. So your body will work on its own, and it's the oldest science in the world.
Science, yes. And it works on energy, basically, natural energy.
Natural energy.
So that was very interesting and very informative. It's so amazing to know so much of things. We thought it's just pricking in person gate, but we didn't know. Because I never knew that it goes so deep down, like you go by layer and layer.
Yeah, because body has its own coding system. Like if you ask a computer
It's
guy,
like decoding the whole system.
you see a computer guy, you're struggling with some work. The computer guy comes, he just types some code and it works.
Yeah.
You're like, he just typed something. What is so big about it?
Yeah.
But to type that and to understand, you spend years.
Years.
So for us to understand, like what point, it's like coding system only. So what point when prick with another point with what kind of
How it's connected.
then what it will give result. That takes time.
Yeah,
It is easy to understand, okay, there are 5 points here.
Yeah.
You buy hat, it is very easy. But that is not,
How
that
to
is the
that?
most superficial thing. Acupuncture is beyond that. Like, everything body, you bring any kind of condition, maybe it's common cold, maybe influenza, maybe corona.
Yeah,
you look at
that's
person, you know how to treat. So that takes time to learn. That is why you need that so many years in the university and place like China where you understand the body. It is not a matter of just learning points.
You can understand. You
Yeah.
spend almost a decade over there.
Yeah. So it is like, most of the acupuncture doctors, they also have results. Not like that. It is like, you have an AK-47 gun and you're just randomly firing. Someone will die. So that is what is happening with most of the treatment therapies. But what acupuncture does, it's like sniper. You know exactly, okay, this is exactly what you have to do, one shot and it is. So that is exactly how it will go and
Wow,
hit
that's amazing.
Yeah, that is why it has the root cause result.
Sure. That was nice, Saish, talking
Yeah,
to
it
you.
was a pleasure sharing.
So, you are giving a lot of information to my viewers. It will be very helpful to
I'm
them.
glad.
It's just mind blowing.
No, it's like when you go into a culture, like Indian culture is actually deeper than this. I would say that
That's lost, I suppose. Right?
Yeah, it is not lost, it is yet to be found.
Actually, what you're saying is right, but somewhere we are losing touch with our own culture and tradition. All this has been there in our Indian or in Hindu culture. But now I think it's slowly, it's fastly deteriorating.
That is because, we are, the world is such that when you start dividing things, you start getting scattered. We have divided our attention too much towards like Western, this and that. So going inside is the culture. If you see yoga.
Even within India, I think there's north, south, east,
yeah,
west.
you're dividing.
States are there.
States are there, every culture. Within, like, you have divided into castes.
That's the root cause, I suppose.
So, as Chinese culture, what is talking about is when you start dividing, your mind start differentiating, you start becoming scattered. Like for example, if I say you are you, I am me, then you are already a foreigner to me. I don't know you. But when I know that you and me are the same, we are born from the same genetic composition, So I would say very simple thing. One of my father's friend, he implanted that idea in my mind, is very deep rooted. So we ask a question like, where is God? And people say God is everywhere. What does that actually mean? So it is very simple. The whole universe, if you say Western medicine, Western culture, that it came from a Big Bang. So there is nothingness. So one small atom or one small thing exploded, and the whole universe was born.
Yeah.
So similarly, in our body, we know that we are born from one cell, and this whole body was created from that one cell. So every part of your body, your hair, your eyes, everywhere every cell has that genetic composition. Yes. So the information about you, so you can just take your hair and you can clone yourself.
Yeah.
Right? So the universal knowledge, what we talk about, is existing in every atom of the universe. In you, in me, in this table, everywhere. So why are we searching outside? So the rishis, why they were so knowledgeable, they were able to create a book called Veda, is because they were going inside and not outside. When you go inside, you find the knowledge because it is already there. So I will tell you, say like the culture is getting lost, we are going away from it. I would say it is not lost, it is yet to be found, because even if all the books of Indian culture, all the Vedas are burned, still you have to understand where the Vedas came from. Veda is basically all the hymns and everything is part of universe. It is sound waves that are existing in universe for yugas.
Yeah.
Right? And sound waves cannot be destroyed nor can be created. So they are just existing. So what Vedvyas did is he went so deep inside that I would say like we are sitting here, okay, we can hear certain sounds. If you go quieter, night time, when you are alone sitting in a quiet place, you will hear more sounds. The more quieter you become, the sounds become louder. At certain point you start listening to your own thoughts, you start hearing your own thoughts. So these sound waves become part of you. So he listened to them and he started creating like scriptures based on it. So that is way. So it is not lost, it is there.
It is there, always there.
So you just have to go deeper inside you. That culture is about going deeper, the spiritual culture. So when I said we have 3 layers in the body, so the world is also divided into three layers. You have Western as the physical thing, they only talk about physical atoms, this and that. Then you go to China, you talk about energy and all those things like you say Tai Chi, Taoism. You're all talking about energy and relationship and emotions and everything. And when you come to India, it's all about spiritual. It is beyond that. It is beyond materialistic. It is going like beyond this body. So what is going beyond is basically you stop differentiating. When we say Shiva is not just some idol or some figure. It is an ideology of becoming empty. Energy. It is becoming emptiness. Even the thought that I have to become empty, I have to stop thinking goes away. That thought itself, that is what emptiness is. And when you are empty, everything comes to you. Like I said, you have a vessel. If you fill it with all your thoughts and all your day-to-day troubles and everything, you have no time to put anything in there. If you empty that out, and it is empty, you can add immense amount of things. So why people today are suffering in this world is because we have gone away from this culture. The culture tells that you have to subtract and not add. We keep on adding troubles. We are finding troubles. We are keep on like after money, after relations, after this, and you're going and adding. When you start becoming subtracting, you become peaceful. Why a monk who doesn't have a single car, he doesn't have a place to stay, he just gets food for his survival. Sometimes they don't even eat food. Yet he is very happy. So happiness is something that is deeper. So which is what been taught to us, but we don't realize, we have forgotten. So our culture is not just praying to God and offering some nariyal and this flowers. It is way beyond that. It is going understanding that God exists in every single thing. And when that happens, you are at peace. You will never fight. If you are God and I am God,
you will not fight.
You will not fight. When I think, no, God is with me, not with you. You are some other person. I will fight with you on very petty things. So that is very important.
That was very nice.
Yeah. So
I like. Okay.
Yeah. So see, as a doctor in China, they say you have to be able to treat at every level. So if I am not spiritual, then I will not able to treat emotional things. If I don't know energy, then I will not able to see which is beyond physical. And if I am not anatomy understanding, if I don't have that anatomical understanding, physical, then I will not able to treat that physical problem. So you have to know everything.
Yes.
You cannot ignore anything.
It was really a knowledgeable session. I wish I could keep listening to you for
I would say I have achieved only like a drop in ocean, because imagine like in 10 years if I could achieve even small thing, there is so much
to learn.
Like so much to learn.
But whatever you have achieved is amazing.
Yeah, it's
comparatively what I see people around, the doctors around, or people in your field also.
Yeah,
I've been talking to a lot of people, but what I came to know from you, it's really like, I feel as I'm talking to a monk, honestly. So much of energy and so much of knowledge and so much of insight.
I just hope that I am able to impart this knowledge, because as a person, when you have knowledge, it is only to be shared. Right. If you don't share, it stagnates. So I just hope that I give it to people, young generation, who are able to change their way of living and go to transit this Kali-yuga. Kali-yuga is what we exist in. It is not something that is influencing us. It is us. If we change ourselves, we will go into Treta Satya. If we don't change our way of living, then we will go into deeper Kali-yuga. So I hope that I would able to someday help even few people to change their way.
Change their view and lifestyle.
Lifestyle. So changing their lifestyle will already heal them more. So yeah.
So that was good.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'm so happy to have this conversation with you.
I'm really honored.
Please do like, subscribe and watch.